I can't tell you how refreshing an episode like Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror was, coming right off the back of the convoluted season opener in Orphan 55. If there's one word that can be used to describe both of those stories, it's congested. And Orphan 55 isn't even a terrible episode. I just happen to share a similar viewpoint to Doc Ho, that although some individual parts of it are strong, together it all adds up to something less than the sum of its parts. Not only are there far too many subplots involving secondary characters, but there is also no consistent theme, hence why the concluding speech feels empty and unearned. Tesla's Night of Terror, by contrast, basically does everything right that Orphan 55 got wrong. All of its parts are working together rather than against each other to achieve a singular objective. So firstly, there is the man himself, Nikola Tesla. Now, this current trend of focusing on less culturally well-known figures from history, itself a natural extension from episodes like Demons of the Punjab, which examines a less famous historical event, is an aspect of the Chibnall era which I really like, and I hope it continues. It just makes such a refreshing change from the celebrities like Shakespeare and Churchill, and is a nice way of calling back to the show's educational roots without a need for any Rosa-style patronising school lectures. And unlike in Spyfall Part 2, the historical figure in question plays an integral role in the plot from the outset, as opposed to being awkwardly flung in halfway through before Chibnall could work out what they are even supposed to be doing here. Now, some, including androzani reviews, have been critical of how Tesla is portrayed as wholly sympathetic, overlooking certain historical details that could portray him in a less than favourable light. This doesn't bother me, quite honestly. None of that information is particularly relevant from a thematic point of view, and besides, a pet hate of mine is when TV shows feel the need to strawman history, stripping away the context and calling things out as if it were the present day. Look, it was a different time then, okay? A different morality. Back then, eugenics wasn't such a dirty word. You simply cannot make assessments by the same standards as today's society. In any case, while he may be sympathetic, Tesla is by no means presented as flawless. His initial refusal to accept the Doctor and Fam's assistance quickly establishes him as stubbornly independent. He has something of a superiority complex rooted in his tortured need to prove his genius to the world, and the way Goran Visnich portrays moments like Tesla's reaction to the protesters really help to sell his internal conflict. But what really makes the portrayal effective is how he plays off the character of Thomas Edison, who is a perfect dramatic foil in almost every way. It's nice how the episode at first seems to be taking the obvious route of playing up Edison as the pantomime villain, only to subvert that expectation. Yes, he may have flashing dollar signs in his eyes wherever he goes, but little details like him taking personal responsibility when his workers are killed also give him a warm layer of humanity. And not only that, Edison's response when confronted by Tesla about him stealing his ideas from others, that anyone can have ideas, but he turns them into a reality, something that can be marketed and mass-produced, is genuinely thought-provoking. It ties into the aforementioned theme of how Tesla's stubborn independence and refusal to rely on others is ultimately his biggest downfall. Now, all of this is really great stuff, and I haven't even got onto the aliens yet. Indeed, Stu Bagfell argues Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror could have been better as a pure historical, and I can see how that might work, but to be fair, the alien threat does again link in neatly with the overall theme. Creatures who go around plundering other species' technology and require a genius to fix it for them because they have zero ideas or creativity of their own. I can't think of anything more fitting given our supporting characters for this week are inventors. You can't even criticise the fact that the design is basically a rip-off of the Rachnos, since we are literally dealing with aliens who have no creativity here. Of course they're not going to look original. It makes perfect thematic sense, and it all ties back to the episode's ultimate message. The Doctor gives the Skifferer a chance to evolve, as she puts it, but evolution and progress are driven by imagination, invention, and that is ultimately more important than the recognition which Tesla never receives in his lifetime. As he says in the closing moments of the episode, he works for the future. This one line of dialogue carries far more impact than Orphan 55 could ever hope to muster, and that's because everything we've seen so far has been leading to this moment. All of the cogs are meshing together rather than locking against each other to create a well-oiled machine worthy of Tesla and Edison themselves. If Orphan 55 is less than the sum of its parts, then Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror is much greater than the sum of its parts.